The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Saban Entertainment, and Tsuburaya Productions.
Hey everybody!
There we go.
Welcome back to another Tokucast review. What episode are we on?
47? 47, I think.
Was that even a number?
47?
47?
Yes,
Are
that
you
thing.
a football player now?
It's that thing where you get the large bottle of beer alcohol. Yep, I know adult words.
No, I don't think you do. I don't think any of those were words.
Bottle of beer alcohol.
You get that large bottle of beer alcohol? Isn't that what you humans call it?
Are you referring to the tall can of
No,
beer? Okay.
No.
Are you referring to a keg?
The bottle.
Okay.
It's a 40.
Okay.
Oh, okay, 40. Alright.
With 40 hands.
I remember ever 40 hands. That was a fun night.
So I've been told. Never played it myself because I don't drink.
I wasn't playing. I was the drunk asshole who had to cut people out of it.
Yeah.
The duct tape off their hands.
That was a great night.
Because I was 5 shots in doing this. I got you. Just don't move.
We don't know how.
Why are you still moving?
Nobody died that night. But yeah, this week, episode 47. I looked it up while we were doing that.
Oh, goody.
Episode 47.
We're doing the first season of Garo.
Yay!
We're finally doing
I've been
Garo.
waiting for this for like a year.
We moved it ahead because he wanted to do it so much.
Plus, it's a shorter show.
It's still, but we're still chronologically in line.
I'm so glad this show was short.
25 episodes.
You didn't like it?
No, I'm just glad it was short.
Oh yeah, it has been
I'm glad
just watch Ginga.
Ginga sucked.
Oh yeah.
It's a good short.
Ginga sucked, and we also watched a series, another series, a movie, and another series.
It's true.
Garo.
Garo season 1. The setup
Rated R Kamen Rider.
for the very, very long, series that we have going on. 3 animes, one that's going on right now. The first one was great. The second one was shite.
First one was okay.
Third season's going on now.
Yes,
He
third
said
season's been really good. Couple of spin-offs with Zero,
Mm-hmm.
aka the best character in the entire fucking series.
Didn't a Sentai actor make it into one of the Zero shows, or am I losing my mind?
Gokai Silver is in the 3rd season.
I remember that. I'm thinking of a female Sentai actor.
Oh.
She's in this one.
Oh, I thought she was in the
Yeah.
first Zero. Who was the girl in the first Zero miniseries?
No idea.
Anyway,
We'll probably remember it.
we'll look that up
sometimes.
later when we get there.
Yeah.
But Garo season 1.
Yes, Garo season 1.
Hope you don't like sleeping.
Yeah, this show is a thing.
Yes.
It's
Let's talk about the
Like
opening.
most shows are things.
Let's talk about the opening. It starts with a ring talking to you.
It starts with something talking to you.
It was Tokyo Sango.
That's right. I thought it was Tokyo. Okay. I was right. Yay.
That's cool.
Yeah. Garo, the first season. It's a very, very good setup season.
Yes, it is.
For basically everything that ends up coming
Definitely
up after.
does a good
It also
job.
stands alone on its own as a good show.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
And it does a very good job in establishing the lore of
Yes.
this
Yes.
world.
I do have some issues with it. We're going to get into those.
Yes.
Because
But let's
some
talk
things
about
are
the
just
start. Let's talk about the opening song and
openings. This
There are
song has
two.
2.
Yes, true.
I like the first one a lot more than I like the second one. Also, the
I-
second one is hype.
I don't like either one.
Really?
The first one is just
Not really.
instrumental.
What was? I'm kind of curious. What was your issue with them?
My issue with them was they just weren't that good.
Okay.
I just didn't think they were that. The first one I liked a little bit more because it was just instrumental when you see the shadows,
Yeah.
fighting. That was kind of cool. It's like, all right, we're setting up the atmosphere. We're getting you into what's going on. Didn't think the song was that great, but the second one, I just didn't like the song. It just was not a good song in my opinion.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I like them.
I do like the English narration that we get at the start of every episode.
Yes. When there is light, shadows lurk, and fear reigns.
But by the blade of the night, mankind was given hope.
That's a
I'm
weird
not-
accent that you just decided to put on there.
That's the accent he has in the movie.
Is it?
Yeah.
Then does he go, "I'm Batman"? Because I think you were about to say, "I'm Batman."
I felt like
I
you
did.
were going
I
that
was,
vibe.
but you cut me off, you son of a bitch.
Welcome to Tokucast, where Batman jokes are not allowed.
But yeah, in the first episode, Picture Book, we end up getting introduced to a few characters. Kaoru.
Like we do with most shows.
Yeah, it's true. Kaoru is a broke artist, as you are, who's going around doing odd jobs, but she got her first ability
Yeah, I empathize.
to go and put her art up in the gallery.
Mm-hmm.
But before any of that happens, a man, I'm guessing the curator of the
he's the owner of the
gallery.
Yes.
And he's in the back room
curator,
looking at various paintings, and next thing you know, we end up getting to see...
He hears a noise coming from the storage room, and he's like, well, this painting's never been here before.
And because there are just boobs. Welcome to this show, by the way, where boobs are a thing.
They're not in it a lot. Don't get your hopes up. But they're there.
But when they're there, they don't explain it, just boobs.
Sure, it happens a couple times.
Yep.
But yes, we end up getting introduced to that character. He ends up getting possessed by the picture frame.
By the lady.
Yes, by the boob lady.
This is Blaze Blue now.
But yeah, and the monsters in the show are called horrors.
Yes.
Because they are horrifying.
Nah.
And the guy who did them is also does a lot of Kamen Rider costumes and things like that.
Oh, cool.
But he got his start mostly here. And I love the way that these things are designed. Not just the plain ones, but like the various other horrors we get throughout the show.
I think the monsters are very, very well designed. I just don't think they're scary.
I think the main...
It's the atmosphere in some of the episodes.
Yeah, it's the atmosphere.
Makes it scary.
Yeah, but even then, like, the atmosphere is good. It just didn't scare
also,
me.
sometimes what is done to the victims is kind of terrifying.
We'll go over it because
I've seen it all. I've seen it all. This ain't nothing.
This show's plot is sort of
What season was it? What season was the horror movie buff in? I think it was season 2.
I think that was 3.
It was either 2 or 3.
Okay.
I want to say it was 3.
Because 3 is whatever his name is season.
Mm-hmm.
Not the main girl.
Not the great one.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we end up getting to meet Karu and Koga.
Mm-hmm.
Koga.
Who is the main
Koga Saijiba
character throughout this show.
How many shits does he give Marcus?
0. He really doesn't give any shits. Although, for some reason, at the end of this, he decides to give a shit about this lady. Because
she's hot.
No. It's a
let's face it, that's the real reason.
It did become that so much later. But I love this first episode. Because this show, as we said in something else that we just did, has a lot of out-of-suit fighting. And it's a lot of the actor doing the fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because in this show... As opposed to things like we're seeing in Kamen Rider and Sentai, putting on a suit is more of a last resort. Because there's a time limit, and if you exceed said time limit...
99-second time limit.
Because it's 666 upside down. And if he exceeds that time limit...
I never noticed that. I never thought about that.
Is it because he didn't have the line?
Because I just didn't. It's one of the things I never thought about, to be honest.
That was an Uno joke. That was an Uno joke.
That was absolutely an Uno joke.
Oh, okay. Is that from the Brewster Teeth Let's Play?
No, that was just Uno, period.
Oh, okay.
Remember the Sixes had lines on them?
No, I don't remember the lines I played.
Anyway, and if he exceeds that time limit, he becomes a horror or something like that.
Yes. We also get to meet his butler, Gonza.
I like his butler.
Yeah, Gonza's fine. And his ring, Zaruba, who is in everything Garo related. You will always see him. That's how you know that this is this show.
That's how you know who was wearing him as Garo, because they have him.
Yeah. Zaruba's only on the main Garo wielder, because the armor ends up basically going from generation to generation, or season 3, which there's really no explanation as to exactly how he got it, but...
There are some rumors, but none of them.
Maybe he's a great-grandson. Who knows? Season 5 sort of tries to fill a gap, but that doesn't really work.
Next.
But yeah, he uses, Koga does, ends up using his Mado lighter, which is just a green flame and a lighter, to see if somebody's a horror.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
I love how when we first see him use it, it's on Kaoru because he thinks she might be the horror.
Yeah. I
love how it's just choke you, slam you up against the wall, hold the lighter up to your face. Oh, wait, you're not a horror. I want to buy one of your paintings. And she's like, really? I know you just tried to choke me up against the wall, but you're going to buy my stuff.
She is that bro.
Pretty much.
That bro. But yeah, one of the first things we end up seeing is that the curator ends up basically bleeding off these 2 horror-like beings that Koga ends up fighting. Great scene. It's the first time that we actually end up getting to see like a fight scene happen in the show. And
he's got a really nice fighting style.
Yeah.
That you don't really see a lot, especially with a sword of that size.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's a bit small.
You know where else we know Zaruba's actor from? X-Aid.
He is an XA.
He was the gamer driver.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And he also sang almost every theme
What's
song
your name?
in Dragon
What's
Ball
your
Z.
name? I'm a Kamen Rider, Garo.
But yeah. Then we also end up getting to see after we first get to see our first horror in this episode, where it ends up transforming into a horror that just looks great. We end up getting to see the armor.
I love this suit.
Oh my god, it's the greatest thing ever.
It's a great suit.
I love the way it's summoned. It's just so simple, but works so well.
Mm-hmm.
And yet with every Makai Knight afterwards, they tweak it. He raises up and spins. When Gokai Silver shows up, he slides his sword in a circle on the ground. So it's always different. They get their circle in a different way.
Except for Raiga, Toga's son. He does it the exact same way that his dad does.
Well, isn't he Garo, or is he?
He is.
Yeah, if Garo does it this way. Like
This Garo does it this way. He inherits it from his daddy.
And then the guy with the bow who just twirls it, which is cool. But
that was Ryoma.
I know.
Speaking of which, that's just the thing that we should end up mentioning. There are a lot of Kamen Rider and Super Sentai actors in this show. For example, in this show, Geki Yellow's in it. She plays the best friend of Kaoru.
Yep.
And Zolda, both Zoldas are in this show in a later episode. Yeah, there's just a lot of them. The guy who ends up playing the main villain was also in Kamen Rider Black. He was in Ultraman Tiga and Dyna.
Oh, nice.
So
nice. I'm trying to remember. I know this isn't the right season. The main villain of Zero season, the English guy, the white guy.
Chris, no.
Wasn't he in a Kamen Rider?
He was in Ghost.
That's right, he was in Ghost. Never mind. I got my excitement.
And then all your excitement just
as soon as
evaporated.
Ghost gets mentioned, we're just like
tears in the rain.
But yeah.
Because he was so... Okay.
Now here's the main thing about this and the reason why Kaoru ends up sticking around, because once he ends up killing the horror, the blood ends up getting splashed on her.
And if a human is splashed with the blood of a horror, gotta kill him. It's the rules of the Makai Knights.
Or in this case, the thing that Koga ends up doing, he basically ends up using her as bait.
because the horrors are going to smell the blood that's been splashed on her, they're going to be attracted to her, they're going to want to eat her, and it's like, aha, I'll just use her as bait. I will lure the horrors out to her, and then I will stab them.
Yeah, that's exactly what he does. And it's great. I love, the first couple episodes are based just their relationship, Kaoru being consistently broke, and then later on...
doing a bunch of odd jobs.
Yeah.
And then, Ryuga showing up, putting on the armor, looking badass, kicking ass, moving on.
And then we end up getting to see that her father, who was also a painter, apparently drew a book of Garo, but the last page was never finished. That ends up being a thing at the very end of the show.
Yes.
But yeah, she ends up having this book, and nobody can actually remember it. And then that... later on, because it apparently never actually got fully published. But yeah, it ends up being a thing. Her dad, by the way, is played by the Rose Orphanok from Fies. The one who got his head cut off.
Oh.
Oh dear, oh dear.
In the Fies movie. So,
At least he grew it back for the show.
yeah, it's a thing. Now, I love the first couple episodes, though, because getting to see these horrors and getting to meet the Eastern Watchdogs and Kodama, who's like their butler.
Yes.
Fuck that guy.
A lot of combat butlers I've noticed in the show.
Yes, there are, except for Gonza.
Yeah.
Gonza's not a fighter.
He's a traditional butler.
Yeah, he's very, very traditional. But the Eastern Watchdogs and Kodama are very, very important. And I love the horror in season 2 because they basically, they use the horror
We're going to get
to turn
ourselves
people
then.
Well, this is episode 2.
You said season 2.
Oh, my bad. I meant episode 2.
Okay.
They use the way they eat people is so different.
Yes, it's different for everyone.
Yeah, and that makes the show just ooh, yay.
There was the Doctor one. I think that was episode 3.
Yeah,
where he has the tentacle scalpels. There was a sculptor who still gives me nightmares to this day.
That's a later episode after another character gets introduced. But yeah, in episode 2, they eat chains. They turn people into chains and they eat the chains, and I'm sitting here ooh, it's so creepy.
Just slurps them up like noodles.
Yeah. It's the horrors, they make it so inventive, just how they kill people. And it's not hey, we're just going to go out and kill somebody. It's no, we're actually going to go out and be smart about this. And, lure people in.
I think my favorite one might be the clown.
The clown was so creepy.
That might be my favorite one, my favorite method.
He was great, but he was so creepy. In episode 6, because really for the first couple episodes, a lot of this show is very standalone up to a certain point.
Yeah.
And in episode 6, we end up getting to see another Makai Knight at the end of the episode, Zero, who is played by Rei Fujita. And if you watch Fies, he played the Dragon Orphanat. He was 17 at the time of the first season.
Yeah,
Rei Suzumura, also known as Zero.
He is 29 now.
Jesus Christ.
So, yeah. He's also, like, half French.
Cool.
He speaks French, a lot of English. And, it's just, hey, Rei Fujita, what's up? So, I mean,
we're fans.
We're very big fans.
Especially this guy.
Love that guy. He's so great.
But I liked his character a lot.
Zero
was a pretty cool guy.
He was very antagonistic towards Garo at the beginning because he thought that Garo ended up killing basically his adoptive family and his girlfriend. It wasn't, but he doesn't know that
really
until later. But yeah, I loved the first couple episodes. And then we begin to see Zero's suit in episode 7. Episode 7 stands out to me, one, for two reasons. One, because of his suit, but we're going to talk about in a second. But also the fight scene.
The fight between him and Garo.
Oh my god.
Jesus. That's the thing I remember the most about this show. Just that first fight between the two of them, where they just fight in that building, and then they go outside and they transform.
Running on the side of they're running on the side of the longest building ever because it takes them what seems like 5 minutes to get from the top to the bottom. Like
a horror takes them up there first. And then they kill the horror, and it's just nope, we're just going to fight.
And now we're going to fight each other.
And it's great.
And they fight till the time limit runs out.
Yeah, it's just so good. I love this the first fight scene between the two of them. Just hey, look at all this budget we got. Let's go ahead and use this budget. So they do.
One of my biggest problems with this show is the way they use CG in fights, though. I don't hate CG.
Yes.
However,
it's sort of bad about
there are a lot of fight scenes in this show where it'll go from being a full suit and costume for both Monster and Garo to full CGI, and it's extremely noticeable.
Yeah, the CGI wasn't the greatest.
In 2005.
Yeah. And it's really, really distracting. It took me out of a lot of the fights.
Yeah. It's not as bad as season 3. Matt knows what I'm talking about.
That's why I'm glad there is a lot of out-of-suit fighting in this show.
There's a lot. They do so much.
There was one good fight scene in season 3.
We're going to talk about that when we get to season 3. We're going to talk about that when we get to season 3. But, yeah, this is I love the first couple of things. And then, along the show, we end up getting to meet the Makai priests or alchemists, depending on whose subs you're using, they basically just end up creating everything for the Makai Knights.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that.
They're essentially designed to be the Makai Knight support.
Yeah, which does end up getting much more of a support role because we don't end up getting to see that many priests in the first season. We end up getting to see them more in the second season.
And I think it's hilarious that it's a flat out rule that women can't be Makai Knights.
Yep, but they can be strong ass priests.
Segue into Marcus's favorite character.
In episode 19, after, the whole thing with Zero starts getting in, there is a time limit on how long somebody's blood can be bathed in the blood of a horror. It's 100 days. Mm-hmm. And in a little bit, Kaoru does start to, because, they said it's pain, and then more pain, and then you die.
Yeah.
That's basically how this is going to end up going. But then in episode 19, we end up finding out that the priest that we met earlier, Makai priest Amon, was murdered. We don't end up getting to really see exactly who his murderer is. I'm guessing it had to be the main villain, but they don't really extrapolate on that.
We're left to assume.
Yes. Actually, going back a quick second, before we end up getting to her, episode 14 is sort of a backstory episode for Koga. We end up getting to see Tiger for the first time. Mm-hmm. We also end up getting to see how he died. He died to his apprentice, Bargo, who apparently succumbed to a horror. And I love that. That's something that they end up setting up now, and they extrapolate more on that in season 5. I believe it's season 5. It's the one where Decade's the main villain.
Mm. Oh, right.
And so that's either 4 or 5. Or 6. I can't exactly remember. It's
one of the later seasons.
Wherever one Decade is the first one. That's something that they end up extrapolating more a lot there, because the Makai priest can eventually end up becoming a horror if he basically ends up, just succumbing to them. And I love that. I think they did just a very, very good job of just, once again, this first season is all about world building and lore building and things like that.
And it does it very well.
Yes, and that just makes it just that much better.
The rules are very clearly established.
Yes. You could become a horror. especially if you let your armor take over you, because your armor will consume you if you end up going over that time limit.
Mm-hmm.
Which Barugo let himself do once he ended up finding like the Dark Book, whichever it's called, which let him.
Didn't Garo do it at one point too? Or am I thinking of the wrong season?
He did. That happens in this season.
Okay.
Because later on we end up getting to find out that the Watchdogs are working with the bad guy, and there is like an overseer for them. Like there's a big overseer that they end up extrapolating more in season 2.
Yeah.
That sort of like is the head of the Watchdogs.
Mm-hmm.
But in episode 19, as we ended up saying, we ended up getting to meet the best female character in this entire show. Freaking Jabby.
However you pronounce it.
Jabby the Hot. I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt. It's very topical. But yeah.
Jabby the Makai priest.
She is the greatest in this show.
Marcus, boo.
She fights like they accuse her, the Watchdogs do, of killing her master Amon, and then we end up getting to see the butler Kodama fight for the first time against her, and she holds her own against him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great. Because we end up seeing later on that Garo can't. And he's not, because he can beat Jabby though, which is really weird. I don't understand exactly how this whole thing happens. But I do love their whole relationship. Jabby's great. She was apparently a childhood friend of Garo's, and she's a badass, and she was in Nexus. She was in Ultra Band Nexus.
Nice.
As a badass. That's her character.
Who was she in Nexus?
She was the third one. She was the only female user of Nexus. She was also on that team. Yeah.
I remember her.
Jabby was great. Unfortunately, episode 20, they decided to kill her off.
Wow.
I was thinking, like, why? Then they bring her back in a movie for the rest of the show, because it's just like, hey, she's a badass, and I love her. So just like, why did you kill her off? But she was just great.
Mm.
And it's great, once again, to see these actors do a lot of their stunts and their fights themselves, because she does it. Like, the entire time she's fighting against Echo and against Koga later on, it's just her. And Koga starts to feel really bad about the things that he's done to Kaoru, especially because he's using her as bait.
Yeah.
So
he's a dick to her through most of the show.
He gets better.
Yeah, he does.
Much later.
But still.
Yeah, he's not the best.
He recognizes the error of his ways.
Yeah. Let's see. What should we... So apparently Kaoru has had this sensei this entire time, who's also apparently a psychiatrist. Yeah, he's a psychiatrist. Who's been sort of watching over her ever since her father died.
Yep.
And
turns out he's a bad guy.
He is the bad guy.
I thought this was so stupid.
Yeah. I sort of ended up having a problem with this. This is like my main thing. I felt like if they would have kept it, much more of a character show instead of one where you actually had a main villain to fight.
Right.
This really would have worked a lot better as a first season. He would have been better as a villain for the second season.
Yeah.
But just like for the first season, I don't know. I felt like you didn't need...
It comes out of nowhere, and it just feels really forced.
Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, the guy is great and all. As Barugo, he was the one who killed Koga's father. He marked Kaoru with the thing around her neck to bring about Messia later on, because she was a mess. Yep, that was a terrible pun. I will not take it back, though. I'm very proud of my terrible punness.
That you are.
But yeah, luckily the whole thing with it sort of does end up getting resolved pretty quickly. Although it's sort of resolved in the way I don't like. I don't like it when the main villain, who has such a tie to the main characters in this case, of both Zero, because Barugo was the one who killed Zero's family and his girlfriend, and he killed Koga's father, but Messia is the one who kills him. After he ends up being brought in, bringing Messia into the world, he basically sacrifices Kaoru, more or less. And it's just like, I don't know, it felt a little bit underwhelming because, we ended up having the whole fight with Kodama where Garo ends up going over the time limit and he fucking tears the guy in half.
Yep.
Like he stabs him with his tail and then and that's it. And I'm just like, ooh, I forgot how much I like this show. And then Zero has to bring him back, and I don't know. It's like this whole thing. A lot of the show is really good, but then we end up having moments like this, and we end up getting to find out that apparently Kaoru's actress, because once again, it's the actor doing the fight scenes, is a badass. Because she fights off both Koga and Garo in like the last episode before she goes and turns into Messia.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting here like, this is not like Yellow Buster and the Gingham movie. This is like, she like legit was doing like combos, super combos, ultra combo, finish him on these motherfuckers. So just like
super moves.
Combo.
So
X-ray moves.
Shoryukens. This is great. And she was just a really, really good fighter. But I'm sitting here like, you had this entire time to show this off and you don't.
Yeah.
Why? Because I didn't like Kaoru in this show. She just felt there as a character.
She's kind of a wet blanket.
Yeah, she really is. She doesn't do much except scream. I'm saying, like, you had this legitimate ability to do something like this, to just make her as badass as possible. You really don't. But there are really things I like about this show, especially certain episodes. The one with Statue, that episode.
Yeah, the sculptor.
The sculptor was Jesus.
The sculptor was kind of terrifying.
Yeah. He was a cockatrice, I believe. That was his horror form. Yeah, that whole thing.
Garo gets a horse.
Yeah, he does get a horse.
And his sword gets an upgrade. Comes like a fucking Cloud Buster sword size bullshit.
That's not... It's a little bigger than that.
It was a joke.
There are some things in the
I was
background.
thinking more like Siegfried from Soul Calibur.
Yeah, that's actually a lot more accurate.
That's more accurate, yeah.
There is that whole thing where the second Zoda, the bad guy from Kabuto, he shows up in that episode as the pianist. His girlfriend or fiance or whomever.
That episode I really liked.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
He ends up committing suicide because his hands end up getting basically broken and he can't play anymore. Yep. So he just kills himself. This is a problem in Japan and Korea a lot. I really should have mentioned this in the Loop Hat thing. But,
We'll put
it in the comments below. But there's a lot of problem with Asian countries and not viewing depression as a thing. So that's how Jung Hyun got to the point that he is. Well, he did, because when he went to go see his doctor, they told him,
It's awful.
Yeah, I was sitting here like, that, Jesus, I just want to punch somebody in the fucking cunt at that point. That's how mad I got.
Demonetized right there.
Oh, blame you.
But yeah, like that episode, and then later on, the episode with the gun. That whole episode where he's fighting the horrors with the guns, like throughout that, I guess, museum or just office building or wherever they're at, was
the
great.
abandoned warehouse district.
No, this is in an office building.
Joke.
But yeah, it's like the father of the girl who got turned into a horror. Like the watchdogs, they just straight up turn on Garo at that point. They've gone ahead and told the father about everything, gave him the thing that the horror girl turned into. And he basically turns himself into that horror as well. But I love that whole scene of just, in that episode, just Koga fighting against all the guys with the guns, like going down a hallway, blocking bullets back at them because of the fucking Jedi. And it's all great. I love that entire episode.
Jedi. He will never be the last Jedi.
And then the three girls who were the watchdogs end up basically taking over some girl that Barugo ends up breaking in. And she ends up fighting Zero. That fight felt a little bit too, like, they shift sides too quickly on it.
Yeah.
It's like Zero was just straight up getting his ass beat throughout that entire thing. And then suddenly, stab, you're dead.
Yeah. He turns it around a little too quickly after getting, beaten for too long.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes all it takes is a lucky shot.
And then the last episode, they go into that portal. Kaoru ends up meeting her mother and father again, and she draws the thing that she.
I like that scene.
Yeah, it was a nice scene.
Yeah, I did like that scene, and they do a lot with art in this show, not just because of Kaoru, just because of the way that the Makai priests do like calligraphy in the air, and everything to do that, and that's the way that Koga ends up getting his power up for the first season with the wings, and he fights against gigantic boob lady. Who really, for a gigantic boob lady, can't act. But I'm not surprised. There were like some times when she would just like, hands! And then that's all she did was just motion.
It was kind of like Enchantress from Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Enchantress was worse.
It's just like, she's just like,
I
hands.
like that movie. Enchantress was worse.
And yeah, it sort of took me out a little bit just seeing her try to be the bad guy and not be the bad guy. So we end up having that whole thing.
Yeah.
Hands!
Yeah, we're going to use that forever now. This is going to be great.
We're going to use that. We're going to use
I haven't used that one in a while.
Yeah, I haven't talked about Power
been
Rangers in a while.
Yeah, that was great. We'll when we get
Yelling at you is working.
That's where it is. But yeah, Garo as a first season.
Don't forget Grenade.
Like the whole thing with Bargo just could have been done in a later season.
Yeah, I think that when it came to this show, since it was something that was kind of...
Well, this is also the first one. They didn't know if they were going to get a next one.
They didn't know they were going to get a next one. There was a lot of experimenting, I can see, really, with this show.
Yeah.
So they had to figure out what's working, what's not working, and it has improved as the seasons go on. Not really season 3. But...
That was the CGI fest, the end-all CGI fest.
So it was a CGI fest and a character fest that no one gave a shit about.
Yeah.
Sorry,
like I said, nothing wrong with CGI. It's just
overuse.
When it's distracting.
Overuse is overuse.
Well, even it wasn't overused in this. It just didn't. It just if it's used even once and doesn't look good, that's a problem.
Now, to be fair, that could have been limited by the time.
And
this
the
was
budget.
2005.
Time and budget. Yeah.
Time and budget because they spent their entire budget on those goddamn suits.
And the
episode
fighting.
7.
And episode 7. That fucking...
Look at our budget!
And then eventually, once the horrors become giant CGI monsters.
Because, I mean, like, Bargo had the whole thing, I'm going to eat 1,000 horrors, and then he does, and then Messia comes in and kills him. And then there's that whole scene where they're flying on that gigantic saucer throughout the city. And I swear to God, they run into the same building.
It's a giant ring.
Yeah, it's a saucer at this point.
Flying saucer.
But they run into that same building that Zero and Koga were fighting at the beginning, and I'm sitting here like, they just got their windows repaired.
Imagine the guy who's like putting the last plane of glass and is like, finally!
My masterpiece! No!
And then you just see Zero just come flying through. Because that's exactly what happens. Like, they leave Koga's just so much to do with the actual fighting. And I'm saying, like, Zero's so bad at it.
The thing I love about Garo is that it has its own style that I enjoy, and it never, ever, ever kind of tries to be a different style.
Yeah.
It knows what its style is.
It doesn't try to be Kamen Rider.
It doesn't try to be Kamen Rider. It doesn't try to be the Kamen Rider for adults. It's trying to be similar but different at the same time.
Now, they do end up, of course, Koga's only there for about 2 seasons, and then it's,
What's his name from
Goldstorm and season 3.
Which was...
And then his son, who I liked his son. His son was a little bland, but he had like sort of a mix of Kaoru and Koga's personalities.
Season 3 is where I stopped, so...
Once we get to the rest
Still a lot more to go.
We have a lot of Garo to do, and a lot of Zero.
I'm excited.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm also just excited because we're going to get to see a lot more actors who end up going on to either be in or were in, the other Toku shows. And yeah, it'll be great. Next time, join us for episode 48 as we do Kabuto.
What'd you say? When did that get there?
Yeah.
He's not here. He's not here.
Okay.
He saw nothing. Are you okay?
All right. Yeah, join us next time as we end up doing Kamen Rider Kabuto. We end up jumping into hyperspeed with this thing, and now
we are clocking up.
We are all very excited to do this show because as much as this show has problems, we do like it.
This was my first Kamen Rider.
Yeah, it holds a special place for all of us because it's just so over the top. Kodobi! I'm excited. I'm so excited to do this season.
We'll see you guys next time.
Let us know what you think about Garo.
Oh, please let us know what you think about Garo.
In the comments below.
As always, like the video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. If you have, and you know people who would like us, please share us. We want to get more subscribers. We want to be able to do this more often.
We're almost at 2,500.
Yes, we are.
We are. We're almost at 2 years.
Oh my god, that's coming up too. Also, go subscribe to our Nerd and Nile channel if you want to hear me talk about anime.
What are you doing next?
Next is Polymatical Magica.
Yay! Did you watch
just the show?
Well, the movie is the end of the show.
One of these days they'll get to that.
Technically, it's the third movie.
Yeah. I mean, the first 2 were just recaps.
Also, she watched the dub, and the dub of the third movie is not out yet.
My point.
Anyway, go watch that. We're releasing on a new schedule, so it's actually not going to be out yet by the time this comes out.
Okay.
Because I wasn't giving myself enough time to edit.
Fair enough.
Also, yeah, as I said earlier, we're putting those links in the description below for the International Depression and Suicide Hotlines.
If you know anybody who needs them, please hand them out.
Yes. Very important.
And on that somber note, we will see you guys next time.
Yes!
Bye, everybody.
Bye!